Welcome to Ex Machina. Join us as we explore the mysteries of this world. Cryptids, monsters, macabre tales, and horror stories abound. Could they be true? Are monsters real?
Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us on another episode of Ex Machina. In the house with me tonight is Robbie, Rip Rains, and Steve, the Monrodus of Borg. Wildman Monrodus. How you guys doing tonight?
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty good.
Hanging in there. There's just more of me to be here now.
Well, if y'all were here listening to us talk the other night about when we were in Combs Ferry a little over a week ago, week and a half now, Steve had a little mishap on the boat and wound up doing some damage to his leg. Now we were jokingly calling him Monrodus of Borg because he's got this mechanical attachment prosthetic to his leg.
Got me making me faster, stronger. I don't know.
We can rebuild him.
You're the bionic.
We can make him faster, stronger.
Yeah. I managed to break the. Yeah, Monrodus of Borg. I like that one. That works. I managed to break the.
Steve.
Yep. Oh, Steve Austin. There you go.
Steve.
Naomi Finn says a $6 million Monrodus. I haven't gotten the bill yet, but it's going to be close. And for the record, I did just fine on the boat. It was leaving the boat that I had the issue. Because apparently my old decrepit shape, jumping 30 inches onto solid ground from a deck of a boat's enough to break the head off of one of the bones in my leg.
Hey, I'm in shape. Round is a shape.
Round is definitely a shape.
Says oval.
No.
Yep, definitely.
The human lips.
Well, boys, I'm glad you guys are here tonight. Thank you all for being with us tonight. We've already got a pretty big crowd. Chat's active as heck. I love seeing that. Thank you guys for being with us. And, we're happy to have you all as part of the Ex MachiNation. If you guys are new to the chat or if you're listening and have not yet done so, please take a second, hit that subscribe button at the bottom of the YouTube screen. We would sure appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. And don't forget to hit that little bell icon because then you can be alerted anytime we go live. And we would definitely appreciate that. It'd help us continue to grow the channel and help us get out there a little farther. We're still closing in on the 10,000 mark. We haven't quite made it. We're just shy of 8,500 now. But when we hit 10,000, we're going to have a pretty big giveaway. And then probably after that, the next big giveaway will be at 50,000. But we're looking to the future. We're ready for things to continue to grow, and we've been putting together a pretty good list of equipment that we want to get for doing remote lives, and we're going to get all that set up. Probably not going to get it done this week or next week. This week is my anniversary, and next week I'm going under the knife. So we'll probably not get the actual list and the GoFundMe that we're thinking about setting up. Probably not done for the next couple of weeks, but be looking forward to that because we would sure appreciate you guys' support in that. Michelle Powell just became a member. Thank you. Well, welcome to the Ex MachiNation. We're happy to have you as a member of the channel. Make sure you check out those extra icons that you have access to, and there's also quite a few members only videos you can check out, including some of the breakdowns we did with the Joe Balt stuff. And there will be more of those coming. I've got to get all of the original videos over to Noah so he can get the stuff we took, the videos we took down at Moon Valley and some of the other places we went with Robbie. And hopefully we'll have those for you up there as well in the very near future. Anything exciting going on, boys?
Nothing here.
Nothing as exciting as being the $6 million man.
Yeah, it was a little bit of fun. Yeah, for as much as you guys were giving me crap about my panic reaction to some of the stuff we saw out there at the campground, I did walk about 2 miles on a broken leg, so give me some credit.
Oh, I'll give you all the credit. You did.
Oh, you got plenty of credit. But I'm also saying that if you'd had a needle in your butthole, You couldn't have pulled that thing out with a tractor.
Oh no! I wish I would have planned
Now,
ahead. I would have taken a few charcoal briquettes and shoved them up my butthole. I would have
You
had
made a
diamonds, and we
diamond?
all could have retired. Oh,
I kid you
Yeah.
not. I looked at Noah. I said, if he could sprout wings out of sheer willpower, he would be back at the dock right now.
well, notice that I had no problem volunteering to be on the first group to exfil off that place.
Nope.
In fairness, I was in a lot of pain by then, but regardless.
I'm planning on going back in to Combs Ferry here in the very near future. Probably as soon as I recover. I was talking to Lieutenant Jenkins the other day, James Jenkins, if he's listening or in the chat. That's one of my old lieutenants from Greene County that went with us into Combs Ferry. He's got some game cameras, and we're going to take him in and probably take a short ladder so we can put the game cameras well above head level and angle them down, and then we're going to camouflage them and go back and get them. So the plan is to put those game cameras in where they're going to be very difficult to find.
We could just bring Doc and have somebody stand on his shoulders.
That's true. Actually, we could just get Doc to just, spider monkey imp the tree. Those little narrow ones that hold him just fine.
He's scaling the one with the fish head in it. Flapping around.
Hang on, boys. This is a big one. It'll take me a minute to get back down here. Doc, you're 4 foot off the ground.
Here, I'll help you.
Who runs Barter Town?
He's not even here to defend himself, poor guy.
Well, you decide to have a date night, you take your chances. You were going to come and get you anyway.
Oh, we got him Wednesday night.
Oh, yeah, we zinged him plenty the other night.
Yeah, he knew that tonight he was going to get screwed one way or the other. He was just hoping it was going to go down a little differently. I love you, Doc. In case you're playing this back later, I love you. Oh.
Yeah, he's probably doing the Yosemite Sam rasm frasm ragum ragum
Fucking sucker rabbit.
Oh, I hates that rabbit.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my my new med kit from him, and it's just gonna have a dog turd zipped up inside it. There won't be anything else. No tourniquet, no nothing.
You have an old piece of yarn for your tourniquet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dog turd to be your chest sealer.
Yeah. But what's this, Doc? What's a new model for 2024? It's the SHIT kit. I think you can figure out what it means.
It's just a couple of Band-Aids and a can of Bactine.
Tube of super glue.
Kodiak says it's hard to hear me. You guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
I changed the position of my mic. It's actually up above me now. You'll probably see it. Yep, I'm going to bring it down a little bit so maybe you guys can hear me a little bit better. But the way it was positioned on my desk, I had to move it when Robbie was here. And even when I tried to put it back where it was before, it was kind of in the way of everything on the desk. If I was moving to type or reaching for something, it was just right in the way. So I positioned it on the shelf above me so I could fold it down. And I'm still kind of working out the details on where exactly I want it, because it's a condenser mic, so you've got to be fairly close to the actual microphone portion of itself. And I've got a pop filter and a sound filter on it. So hopefully, we're not picking up a whole lot of background noise. But actually, I don't even think I turned on the filter. Oh, nope, I did not. Crisp is not activated. Holy crap. So you guys might hear some background noise. Phyllis says, DA, your volume's lower than the rest. Did that help any? Maybe bringing the microphone down a little?
I hear you fine. I can't tell any difference at all. You sound the same as you did when we...
Yeah, to me, you guys both have the same volume.
Yeah.
But I'm also listening through the studio too.
Oh, Roxanne says my volume is good. Dorothy Wade says I'm wearing headphones, so you sound pretty normal. Miss Naomi says bring it down a little bit more. I will try, but the more I bring it down, the more it gets into the end of the screen.
You guys
You
probably
could have it over one of your eyes, look like a pirate.
Yeah.
You guys are probably hearing it different than we are because, like Steve said, I think it's what ours is coming through the studio because he sounds normal to me. He sounds just comparable to Steve.
Let me
So
check if I can do anything about my mic volume.
Yeah. And I'm going pretty low tech here. I don't even have a separate mic. I'm just running off of AirPods.
Let me well, it says I'm getting plenty of bars on the mic. Maybe I should try turning on crisp. Maybe that'll actually help. Maybe it's like static or something. It's loading, so you may lose me for a second.
Down on the bottom of the screen where you would mute yourself, if you click the drop down arrow, there's a little clicker that says auto adjust mic volume. If that's turned on, that may help. That's what I've got mine set for.
You see, House wanted us to sing something to test it. After you first.
Yeah, what about now? You guys hear me okay?
Now you're louder than you were.
I switched that to auto adjust, so I guess it bumped it up.
Yep, it definitely knocked you up a couple stages.
Okay. AJ says my audio is good on YouTube. Okay, I don't know. So hopefully that fixed the issue. Well, folks, tonight we're gonna do something. We've done it in the past, but we haven't done it in a while. We're gonna actually read some encounter stories, and if you there's a website called mapsquatch.com, mapsquatch.com. It's a great resource. It is. I wouldn't consider it all inclusive. It's not every Bigfoot or dogman sighting, but it's got UFO stuff on there too. You can kind of refine your searches where you just get Bigfoot or you just get dogman or things like that. I know of a lot of encounter stories that I've seen elsewhere that aren't on that site, so it's a good resource, but I wouldn't look at it as an all inclusive for your area. If you don't see very many sighting reports around where you're at, there have been quite a few. They're probably just not on this resource. From what I understand, they're still building this site, so I'm definitely going to see a lot more from it in the future. But it's a really cool resource. You guys can definitely check it out.
Steve, does he sound the same to you as he does? Does it sound like there's a Gomer Pyle undertone on it? Because it's almost like he's got a reverb and he's like, go on.
Yeah, it's an odd reverb now.
The hell?
Yeah. When you got rolling, I was just sitting there and I was like, every 2 or 3 words, it kind of sounded like Gomer Pyle.
Well, you know how, like, if you, to use our Borg reference, you listen to the Borg, it's like several voices talking at the same time in unison. It sounds like you and somebody with a deep Southern accent are talking in unison. So it's got this weird, your voice plus a drawl.
How about now?
Yeah.
Now you sound like yourself again.
I turned off the auto adjust on the mic, so it might have been something to do with the auto adjust. Mr.
Definitely crisper now.
Starting to gargle.
Yeah, he sounded like it was like Gomer Pyle was trying to channel his way in through you.
I think it's that auto adjust. So I turned it off. Hopefully that fixed it. AAO says, "And your voice doesn't match your words, DA. There's delay. I'm on YouTube. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. It seems to be working fine on our end. But
I think there is a delay.
You might try refreshing your page. That's probably on YouTube's end. I don't think there's anything I can do about that one.
You first, House.
Sing some James Brown. Living in America. Do the Eddie Murphy James Brown. Jump back. Want to kiss myself. Hi. I feel good.
Oh, Lord.
So who wants to do the first sighting report?
Well, I got one pulled up, and this
Hi,
is
Tim.
this is a kind of a special one because this comes from a certain website that we both or all three know. Remember, I told you there was a sighting that was reported on that website the same time as mine. Well, here it
Right
is.
down the road.
Yep, here it is. I found
Let's
it on
hear
this website.
Hell yeah.
So this will give you the time frame because this was. I want to say my stepdad said he looked it up and said this was either the exact same year or the year before, and this happened July 11th, 1981 is when this sighting went in, and this is probably about 3.5 miles from my house is where this sighting that I'm about to read is coming from. All right, there's a long straight road known as Fairlane Flats on Highway 183, and it's known as Fairlane Flats, but that's not the name of the road. The road is 183, Highway 183, but they call it Fairlane Flats just because it's a long stretch of road. I think there used to be a mill over there or something that had Fairlane on it or something like that. But anyway, this is, like I said, right about 3.5 miles from my house. This happened around 1981 in Pickens County, South Carolina. I was about 14 years old, and my brother lived in Pickens, and I lived between Pickens and Easley. Now, what that means, there's Pickens City in Pickens County, so I'm assuming what he means by this is that his brother lived in the city of Pickens, and he lived between Easley and Dacusville, which is pretty much where I live, between Easley and Dacusville. This happened between Pickens and his home, and he would ride his bike to his brother's apartment, clean it up, and then ride the bike back home, sometimes very late at night. My friend Brian would sometimes come with me. On this night, it was midsummer and a bright moon. I was ahead of Brian and looked back to see where Brian was on the turn. I saw something whitish in color that had moved from the roadside of the fence or barbed wire 3 to 4 feet high to the other side, moving fast. I never really got a good look at it, but I did see something whitish in color knocking branches out of the way. The only thing I could think of it being like was a horse because of the height. I went to the same spot the next day and quickly decided that a horse would not move that fast through that type of cover. Never thought for one moment it was a Bigfoot because of the color until I went on this site. Talking about this with my brother later made him remember something he has seen, and I'm trying to talk him into reporting it. I wish he could. I wish he could remember more detail. Sorry, or wish I could remember more detail. Sorry, but I know it was not a horse or a bear, etc. I can get road names if it will help. I just hope someone in this area will see this and tell their story. If we do not talk about it, we may never know the truth. Thank you for the outlet. Thank you for that, Michael. Just an afterthought, but I used to squirrel and deer hunt in this area. So, from the map, like I said, this is probably about 3.5 miles from my house. There's a lot of, well, not a lot, but there's one big cattle farm on that road, and it's on both sides of the road, stretches across both sides of the road. The same person owns both of them, so I'm pretty confident that I know about exactly where he's talking about. So roughly 3.5 miles from where I had my sighting in the same time frame. Then keep in mind, back like I told you, back in that time, there was not as many people living in this area as there are now. Different color, obviously, but now how I saw mine was straight ahead from front, and I was in a house with light on inside, looking out into the darkness. So it could have had white on his back, and I would have never known that. This guy was outside, and he saw it, so could have very well been the same thing. Just he saw it from a different angle, and he saw it in the moonlight, which I didn't. So,
Or the clear hair shafts made the moonlight look funny.
Very well could have been. But like I said, that for a creature that big that moves like that, that's probably 15, 20 minutes worth of movement. 20 at the most, I would say. Because if he's riding this on his bicycle, you think something like that's moving as fast as they have been reported to move, that's easy. And it's pretty much a straight shot, too.
Yeah. So that's right in your area. I mean, like you said, like 3 miles. That ain't far.
That's that way. Literally, the way I just pointed, that is the direction that's in. I could literally walk out of here, get in my truck, drive down there, and drive back to where he had that sighting, and drive back and be back before the show was over. It's literally that close to where I'm sitting right now. I drive on my way to work. I drive by where he's describing every single day. And that used to be a really hairy area. And
no pun intended.
There's still not a lot of houses on that part of it. It's just on, further on down, it's not as wooded as it used to be. But there's still some, because those cow farms are still there.
I wonder though if what we're saying and what we believe about the clear hair shafts. I wonder if direct moonlight would make it look either a silvery or a white color.
It could. I've never thought about that. Because honestly, like I said, my stepdad's told me that there was somebody that had her account, but that's the first time I've ever read the account. So,
and the proximity to where you're at, to me, it just, you can't say with any certainty that it's the same creature, but it would certainly be in the same creature's range.
Yeah, so it would probably be in the same group.
3 miles ain't that far. Mm-mm. Hell, we walked damn near that the other night at Combs Ferry.
Truth.
Steve did it on broke leg.
Yep.
I was going to say.
Spy Guy says my mic is low. Maybe I just backed up too far from it. I'll try to stay closer to the mic.
So but there again, that's like I said, when my stepdad finally started looking like or believing my story was when he started looking into stuff and he found that account.
Thanks, Noah.
On 183.
Yeah, I would still, almost think that it might actually be the same one you saw.
It could be. Like I said,
if there were kids on bicycles, then they were probably close to your age. Do you know who this was?
He said he was 14, so that means he was. I was 8. 7. I guess it makes him
6 years older than you.
Yeah. So and if he lived in the area now, we went up to 9th grade.
Y'all might have rode the same school bus.
I didn't ride the school bus. I was picked up, but I'm sure we probably went to Dacresville together. If he lived in that area, he had to go to Dacresville. And we went from Dacresville. I went to Dacresville from kindergarten through 6th grade, and then Dacresville Junior High from 7th grade to 9th grade. I didn't go to high school till 10th grade, because there was junior high back when I was in. That's how old I am. There was no middle school. So I'm sure. I don't, like I said, it didn't say his name, but I'm sure if I found out his name, I'm sure I probably know him, because we were a small community.
Yeah, I grew up in a pretty small town, and even people that were 5 and 6 years older than me, I knew from school events and going to games and stuff. And Pickens ain't that much smaller than Lebanon.
Yeah, it's Dacusville is one of the communities. Yeah, and it's weird because we went from Dacusville to Pickens High School. That's where we graduated high school. So, and if Sonia was on night, she'd tell you because her husband Matt and Sonia, we all were in that Dacusville community. So it's one of those things where we, it was like we were the transplants going in there. So we were the outsiders when we always, when our 10th grade class went up to the high school because they had all gone, just like we'd all gone to high school or gone to school together from kindergarten on through 9th grade. Mm-hmm. And so would they. And then all of a sudden here we are mixed together in 10th grade. So, you got guys that you played sports against in 9th grade that now you're teammates and friends with and stuff like that. So I'm sure I knew who this guy was because, like Sonia's husband, Matt, he was 2 years older than me, but we've known each other our whole lives, went to school together, went to church together, played ball together. It's like you said, it was just that way. You knew people, and it didn't matter how much older they were or younger. You just knew who they were because it's such a small community. So
a lot of the guys that were 5 and 6 years older than me, we'd buck hay together, or I went to school with their kid brother, or things like that. It was pretty easy to know people even quite a bit older than you in a little town like that, because when it's a rural community, people go out and haul hay together. They'll go out and cut wood together, or go fishing together, or you hunt the same area. So it's easy to overlap with people that are a lot older than you in a small community like that, especially a very rural community.
Yeah, it is, and for just reasons like you said. I mean,
hey Greg, this is for you.
There you go, House. Have you got yours yet?
No, he said she's holding it hostage.
Hey, I did my part, Greg. That's on you to get it from her now.
Northwood says the population where I am is around 10,000, and there have been sightings in this city limits. Lebanon was about 10,000 when I grew up there. It's about 14,000 now, so it hasn't grown that much. But it still has grown quite a bit since I lived there. A lot of the places where I used to hunt and fish are now housing developments, which is, hell, the farm I grew up on is a housing development. I drove by it just not too long ago. It's kind of sad, but there's still a lot of those rural areas, because I was all over Laclede County, Pulaski County, Wright County, any of the counties that surrounded Laclede County, Camden County. I was driving back roads and finding fishing spots. Man, I knew so many places to fish on a Lake of the Ozarks that were off paved highway, that they were such great places to fish because so few people actually fished them.
Well, I just, like I said, those, and I don't know if I think it's kind of a mix of both things, like we talked about with these sightings going up now. I think there was as many sightings in rural communities back then as there are now. It's just you didn't have a way to report. Like, I didn't have that website when because there was no internet back then. That there was just, you told somebody and somebody called you stupid or whatever or crazy, so you just kept it to yourself. Now it's a lot easier with shows like we have and those websites. See, it's easy to go on and make your report. So I think that's a reason that there's more reports now, but also it's more accepted to, there's still people that call you crazy and call you stupid and call you whatever, but there's a lot more people that take your side now than there used to be.
Very, very true. Craig Schultz said, he said, I used to turkey hunt close to Bennett Springs State Park. You have many reports in that area? Actually, there have been 3 or 4 Bigfoot sightings in the park at Bennett Springs. Moon Valley, where we went down and played the shofar, is just a few miles from Bennett Springs. There's a lot of sightings in and around that area, especially along the Niagara River. From Bennett Springs all the way down to Mountain Creek, there's all kinds of sightings. In fact, there was a really good daytime sighting. If you follow the Niangua River all the way down to Lake of the Ozarks, just prior to getting there, it feeds into what they call Lake Niangua, and it's just a little man-made reservoir. There was a sighting on the earthen reservoir of one walking across the earthen dam. So yeah, there's a lot of sightings along the Niangua, and especially close to Bennett Springs. But speaking of local sightings, and somebody, I think it was just had the name. Um, had his name on the tip of my tongue. Um, Damn it, I hate it when I do that. Um, Northwoods. I'm sorry, brother. I completely spaced out. But Northwoods mentioned something about somebody having sightings in town. Um, I'm not going to mention any names. She's a friend of mine. She just reached out to me last night. She lives in an apartment complex between Springfield and Republic. Steve, I'm sure you know exactly where I'm talking about. But if you head out Sunshine Highway toward Republic from Springfield, there's an apartment complex about halfway. Technically, it's in Republic city limits, but there's really not much else out there. She said and she lives like very close to Springfield. It's just barely outside the city limits. That she's got a new dog that she's still housebreaking, and she took it out the other night about 2 o'clock in the morning. And she said the first thing that scared her was the dog would turn like toward the back of the apartment complex with its hackles up growling. And it's not a very big dog. And she said that kind of creeped her out because it only started happening the last few nights. And then last night she heard a howl, like a vocalization. And I said, well, what did it sound like? She said, well, it sounded a lot like that one you sent me on YouTube. And I'd sent her the Ohio howl. So she heard something that sounded very similar to the Ohio howl behind her apartment complex. I said, well, describe to me what's back there. I've been out there a few times, but I don't know obviously I don't know that complex as well as she does. She lives there. All of the apartment, and there's multiple buildings to this apartment complex. All of the buildings' dumpsters are back there at the edge of the trees. So I think she's had one or more coming up and digging through those dumpsters. We're gonna go out and talk to the apartment complex management and see if I can get a look at their security footage. They may not tell me I can. They may tell me to piss off, especially when I try to explain why I want it. But if they've got security footage, which most apartment complexes do have at least one camera pointed at their dumpsters to keep people from illegally dumping stuff. People that don't live there just dropping off furniture and crap. And I know most
Body
of the apartment
dumps.
complexes in Springfield. Yeah, body dumps. I know most of the apartment complexes in Springfield have at least one camera pointing at their complex dumpsters. So she said she's gonna ask them and see if they'll at least hear me out. But if I can get the footage, we might have footage of more than one, at least one Squatch rumbling through several large dumpsters. So keep your fingers crossed. Hopefully I'll be able to get access. Chris Miller says, when's Steve going to get a cool hat? Steve's got some cool hats. He just doesn't wear them.
I got a cool hat.
Steve has hair. Robbie and I are covering up for chrome.
See, I don't have to cut down the glare on my green screen because I'm not using a green screen. I don't have the glare.
If you've seen Jurassic Park, that's the Dotson. We got Dotson here hat.
Yeah, exactly.
See, nobody cares.
Nobody cares. All I need is my the new Hawaiian shirt I got that has pictures of my old dog on it. It's funny because it sounds like she lives relative to West Springfield, where I live relative to South. I technically live in the county, but literally I could throw something from my deck into the city of Springfield.
Right there by your place, Steve, if you got on Republic Road and took it all the way out, it would go right next to her apartment complex.
Yep, I know the complex you're talking about. I've driven past it. I won't say the name, obviously.
They're adding on to it, but there are quite a few buildings already there. But it's still a very rural area. I mean, it's only about maybe 2.5 miles from Wilson's Creek National Battlefield, where a ton of sightings have been.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting because like the complex that I live in, butts right up to the Ozark Greenway, and so literally our dumpster's up against the woods too. If I walk long enough, I'll end up at the nature center.
Well, if you ever take Kenai out late and something's freaking him out, you might put a game cam facing your dumpster. You might get something.
Yeah, he'd be a good one. Cora's scared of her own shadow, but Kenai's a pretty brave little shit.
He's one of those little dogs that thinks he weighs 150 pounds.
Oh yeah.
he's got the balls of a dog 4 times his size.
Seriously, he's basically like Ken Brock as a shapeshifter. If Ken was a Hotamantaneo.
Why you want to insult Kenai like that?
Gee, they're making fun of you.
The wearer Brock.
The wearer
I
Brock.
always thought that picture they show of the dog with its eyes squinted and the cigarette in its mouth and it's wearing body armor. It says when your toy squeaks its last squeak, it changes you. Yeah, I always kind of pictured that for Ken.
Yeah, someone put that on the Facebook, but it was all these dogs after the 4th of July. Man, all them fireworks, they change you. But it's that same dog with a body armor, squinting his eyes with a cigarette butt hanging out of his mouth.
Northwood says any Bigfoot in the city limits here tonight will be dealing with fireworks starting soon. I'm not entirely certain that fireworks would be as big a deterrent as we think they would be. I mean, these things are very curious. So if we're shooting bright lights up into the sky that are popping and going crazy, I mean, small children ooh and all over fireworks. Why wouldn't a Bigfoot? They might not like the loud pop, but they would certainly be intrigued by the colors.
Shoot full-grown adults ooh and ah over fireworks.
Absolutely. I love fireworks.
Oh, hold on. Let me get this up here on the...
That's what they were after at my place in Dacusville, the restaurant dumpsters, and sweep through the neighborhood on the way. Yeah, it's not the first time I've heard of sightings of them raiding dumpsters.
No, the Dacusville thing is are we talking the same Dacusville that I live in, Dacusville, South Carolina? Or is this a different Dacusville? That's what I keyed in on. I'm wondering if
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Robbie. Are you talking about South Carolina, the upstate in Pickens? That's what I'm curious about. I mean, obviously, I'm curious about the whole thing anyway, but. And now we wait for the response.
He says, yes, the clock in Pickens County.
That's sort of like a half mile from my house.
No kidding. Maybe sometime you find yourself in that area, might be a good idea to pop in and see if they.
I'm in the area now.
I mean, like when you're close, go to the house, go in there and look and see if they got a camera facing their dumpsters, and if they do, maybe you could get some footage. Just saying. I'm probably going to go out and talk to the people at that complex before my surgery.
I
don't know if they're going to give me the time of day, but
I know enough people that live around there. I could probably sit in somebody's backyard and watch.
Probably. Well, hell yeah. Put you a game camera up on somebody's fence. Get up out of your chair, Robbie, and go ask. He just opens the window. Hey, Pete!
You still got them cameras out there, boy?
Y'all got your game cameras out in the backyard? Want to put them images up on the lookity box?
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm just sitting out here.
Oh, Lord.
And Misty, guilty dog always hollers. You just remember that. I did my part. It's up to you, girl. You got to give the rest. You quit holding stuff hostage.
Greg House says, I've got one hell of a fireworks-induced encounter here at my man cave. My buddy Alan is here with me tonight, and he was here for that encounter.
And Kenneth, okay, yeah, just send me a message. Let me know that you done got my interest piqued. Because like I said,
Oh,
that's literally half a mile from my, if even that. I mean, I go to the Sphinx all the
because they've,
time.
they've turned the dumpster sideways many times. That takes some strength to turn a damn dumpster.
Well, yeah, that we definitely need to get up about this because
Yeah, that is within spitting distance of your house. So if there's activity there, they probably walk right past your house or come check it out.
well, I told you, yeah, Cap and Buck have gone crazy about some stuff before. Dad said he was up trying to bow hunt one morning, and he heard a bunch of dogs in the neighborhood go absolutely nuts because he asked me if I heard anything, and I was already gone to work. I said, no, Dad, I was already at work at that time, and he said he had never heard dogs go crazy about that stuff. So maybe we got some back in the area.
You might. Yeah, I'd definitely, if you get a chance to talk to those folks, find out when it happens, because if it's only happens seasonally, then you'll know what time of year to put up some game cams.
Yep.
Well, Steve, your turn. Pick an encounter and tell us about
All
it.
righty. Well, I pulled up one that caught my attention, and this is just simply because it's in very close proximity to where I live, and ironically, it happened the day after my divorce. Perhaps my ex was in the area. No, it's August 9th, 2002, south of Highway Double Z, the Green / Christian County line, off a side road. The events that I'm about to relate to you happened on August 9th, 2002, just outside Springfield, Missouri. It was about 2 a.m. My son and I had driven out into the county to get away from the city lights to watch the Perseus meteor shower. We drove south on Highway Double Z and stopped at the top of a large hill. We turned west onto a gravel road and stopped on the top of that hill. There were no close bikes or structures to interfere with our viewing of the night sky. It was a clear night with no moon. After a few minutes in the dark, our eyes adjusted quite well. We could see the open fields to the east and south and north of us. Looking west, we could see the light-colored road going down the hill and off into the distance. After watching the sky for a few minutes, I noticed out of the corner of my eye something large moving in the field south of us. At first, I couldn't tell if I was actually seeing something or not. When I looked directly at it, I couldn't see it, but then I looked off the center and I could see it in my peripheral vision. At times, it seemed to be moving west and then east. I then realized it was zigzagging back and forth. I asked my son if he saw it, and he didn't. About then, there was a flurry of shooting stars, and I diverted attention to the sky again, figuring it must have been a cow or a deer. After a few minutes, both my son and I were facing northeast when we heard a very deep and loud growl from behind us. Almost together, we turned to each other and said, "Did you hear that?" Turning around, we could both see a large object in the road. We could not make out any details except its outline against the light-colored roadway. It was huge. It seemed to have a roughly man-like shape, but a kind of a cone head and extremely wide shoulders. It was swaying back and forth about halfway down the hill. After watching it for a few seconds, I realized that it was swaying back and forth because it was walking up the hill towards us. At this time, it growled yet again, a very low, deep rumble-like growl. I noticed how quiet everything else was. In fact, I remember thinking how funny it was that the thing made no sound on the gravel as it walked. By this time, it was getting fairly close, perhaps 3 or 4 car lengths away. It growled once again very loud and what seemed unnaturally long. With that, my son screamed, "Let's get the hell out of here." We jumped into our car and I floored it down the road and back to the highway. I didn't slow down until we hit town. The next day, in full daylight, of course, I went back out to the spot. I didn't find any tracks or anything. I did, however, notice that there was a 4-foot-high barbed wire fence between the field to the south and the road. If this thing was the same thing that I'd seen in the field zigzagging across it, it would have had to step or jump over the fence, as the fence was not strong enough for anyone to climb, especially something as big as this. I do not know what it was, but it obviously did not want us there and made no bones about it. I'm very curious if anyone else in this area has seen anything similar recently.
I know exactly where that's at. And you know what? It's about a half a mile from Wilson's Creek Battlefield.
Ah, see, I'm about a mile or two north of the county line, but I'm not quite far west enough.
I would make that less than 3 miles from what happened to my friend at her apartment.
Well,
Just
that's
right
part of
down
the
the
reason I
road.
kind of grabbed this one, because it seemed like it was in the general vicinity of your friend.
Yeah,
And funny, it's about the
I
same
could take
time of
you
year.
right through that spot.
August 9th, and her sighting was what?
The hot part of the year.
July 5th, month apart.
Well, the Wilson's Creek out that way is spring fed, so that water's cold all the time. So if you got a big shaggy primate, that'd be not only a good place to find food, but a good water source and a place to keep cool. Plus, that area is littered with caves.
Oh.
So how far is that from Bennett Springs? I know you probably just said that, but
Opposite side of Springfield.
Okay.
Bennett Springs is kind of north of us, and that's out on the south end of town.
Because when we were going back when it was just me and you that time, we were going back down through there, and I said, "Hey, is that a cave up here?" You're like, "Hey, I've been down here and I've never even noticed there's caves on that side."
Yeah, it just happened that there was enough of the foliage down in that area that we saw caves that I didn't even know of. Hold on, and I'll pull that up. I'll pull that picture up. So let me give me just a second, and I'll pull up the picture that we took of those caves. And there are tons of caves in Moon Valley, but I hadn't seen any on that side of the valley before. Because generally when I'm down there, the foliage is so thick, I hadn't even paid attention to this side. But you can see these are pretty good sized caves. And this one over here looks like it's had something like pushed in front of it or something, because you can see the part of the cave opening, but this does not match the rock next to it. It's almost like I don't know, like somebody or something shoved a slab of rock over there to keep something out or in. But this side over here, there's a couple of different openings, and those are about 30 to 40 feet up on a bluff. And that area, like I said, is all marked private property. So I want to go down to Dallas County and find out who owns this land.
The whole time that he's telling me these stories, in my mind, I'm thinking it's on that side of the road, because we're talking about it because I'm seeing those caves there, and I said, like, that right there, and he goes like, "Hell, I ain't never seen those before."
Yeah. As much time as I spent in that valley, I'm shocked I've never noticed those before. I've got some pictures that were taken earlier in the year of Moon Valley. Let me see if I can find any that you can at least see some of those bluffs. Well, you can't see the caves, but I'll show the image. This is taken over in that area where we parked, Robbie. There's that little right here in the foreground. That's the boat ramp. And if you look over here, these bluffs are just riddled with caves.
Now that's the parking area where we got out the first time, right?
Right. That's
okay.
As we were parked, let me find it. Well, we were parked just about where I'm parked there. We were on the other side of the road.
See, that looks totally different now than it did.
This was back when it was still cold.
Yeah.
I don't know. You might be able to see some of the caves.
And
there's one right there. That's a big one. But that's all private property. So I've got to find out who owns it and see if I can get permission to get back in there. The river was way up from this when we were down there, Robbie.
Yeah. So I said it looks so much different, because that actually looks like a bridge, other than just a little something poured across the get across the river. It doesn't look like a bridge right now. It just looks like a road.
This whole bluff line, this whole bluff line right across here, where you see my mouse moving, all of that is littered with caves, and some of them are 60 and 70 feet up on that bluff. Some of them would be impossible to get to without either rappelling down from the top or rock climbing in from the bottom. And my big butt ain't much of a rock climber, so I don't know that I could get into those caves. Not at my age anymore. But
Yeah. I'm more of a rock faller myself.
yeah, same here.
Yeah, I'm in no shape to spider
You
pig
can
up there.
see-
I'll tell you that much.
You can see how big
Spider
those
pig.
bluffs are.
Spider pig.
Yeah, when we were down there, Robbie, this whole gravel bar was underwater. The water was up to the brush.
Yep.
And there's a tree down across the river now.
Still spooky though.
You know, it is more so at night than it is during the day. But yeah, it's kind of a creepy place.
Funny thing that.
Yeah, when we went down there before we were getting ready to blow the shofar, it was dusk, and it was just kind of like that time when it's like you're like, here it comes. It's still daylight, but the dark's coming, and you just start to get on edge. Me and Noah just kind of like we were like both doing like this, just passing each other and circling and walking around. You could tell we were both kind of on edge and nervous. Yeah, like I said, we heard stuff, but it was way off in the distance. But then you get to that spot where it gets the light's getting so low, and your eyes are playing tricks on you, and you thinking you're seeing movement, or you think you might be thinking it, but it could really be, and it's hard to describe when you get in situations like in a place like that where stuff has happened, and you're just like, but that's half the fun of it, I guess. Just that.
Oh yeah.
Being on edge and that tension of okay, what's going to happen next? Because I think me and Noah stood there for like 15 minutes staring at the same spot because we both thought we saw stuff. And we're like, "Oh, did you see it?" I'm like, "I don't know. I think so. Did you?" "I don't know. I think so." But you don't know because
Talk about. Oh, good, Rob. I'm sorry.
no, I just you don't know. It's because is my mind playing tricks on me, or did I really see something, or am I just being overcautious, or it's weird.
Right.
Yeah, but that Moon Valley is really nice. I mean, when we were down there, had Nathan playing the shofar, we were getting responses. Noah was hearing them on the parabolic mic, but they never got close.
But that, yeah. And they were like staying just far enough. Like Noah could hear him with the parabolic. I could barely hear what he was talking about. I mean, it was just like it was so far off. It was just so faint that I could barely. It's like he would say, "Well, I heard this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I thought I kind of heard that, but I wasn't sure because it was so far off." But you never know.
But we all heard something echoing up the valley. I mean, I couldn't tell you exactly what it was, but something screamed back at that shofar. And when he would hit a certain note, the whole valley would go dead quiet.
Yeah, Noah got bionic ears. Do I think the Ozarks are spooky or just the whole state? Well, I didn't see the whole state, so.
Not yet.
But
we're gonna drag him around some more. 3D Havoc says he has your exact same koozie.
This one? I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. I'll just it's like ASOBU. My brother gave this to me for Christmas. I don't know what it is.
just had his fill of the evening. He walked up to my chair, snorts, and then walked out of the room. Everybody's a critic.
Yeah, I mean, when you start thinking about, like, just reading these stories, and Steve reads a story, and you're like, oh crap, that's just right down the road from where I thought this story was. And I read the story, I'm like, hey, yeah, that's just right down the road from where I live. And then you get somebody on the chat that says, hey, well, there was this that happened. I'm like, oh crap, that's even closer. That's the whole, I guess, the point, and that's what's so cool about when we do stuff like this, and people get to talking and you start tying these threads together. That's what gets me excited. It's like you start tying these threads together, and like, is this the same thing or just from the same group of the creature that I saw in the early 80s? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's cool to think about.
Especially when you kind of start connecting the dots in your head, when you start seeing there's a pattern here. And, some areas seem to be more active than others. But, when you start seeing, like Robbie used to joke and say that he thought my writing room looked like one of those conspiracy theorist wall with all the little threads going everywhere. It's not quite that bad, but it's close. But
I'm just convinced he takes the red threads down before I get there, just because he don't want to admit that I'm right.
But when you start making those connections in your head, it kind of opens things up, and it kind of makes it look like in your head that all this stuff has got red threads running to everything.
Yeah. And that's a funny joke and all, but it's almost true, because it's just like, it's almost like a validation too, because you're like, for years people called you crazy, people called you stupid, and now you see there's other people that had the almost exact same kind of experience that I don't even know who they are because I didn't say their name, but they had the exact kind of experience that I had a couple miles from where I had it. And now there's people that are having experiences almost exactly like what I've had half a mile down the road. It's just like, see, I'm not crazy. I told you people what I saw was what I saw.
What I think the most interesting about the whole thing is
until they're confronted with something they can't explain.
Yeah.
Well, I find it interesting. These could be the same critter or the same family groups. That's
very much
that's kind of neat. Or tribes or whatever a group of squatches is called.
Robbie, I think you're up. I talked about my friend's encounter, then I'll pick another one after you.
Oh, okay, that's right. I forgot you talked about your friend's encounter. Hold on, I'll pull it back up. All right, here's one from. Look at that! I hit the same one again. There we go. Here's one from Oconee County, which is next county over. All right. Recollection of a twilight encounter on Lake Kiowee, that's halfway in Oconee and halfway in Pickens County. This happened the July sighting, July 1st of 1975. Flooded Valley, Duke Power nuclear power plant, very sparse population and heavy forest. I was 15 years old visiting my grandparents up from Miami, Florida. On a walk through a remote forest section of Lake Kiowee, South Carolina at twilight, I saw a very large shape walk up a section from the lake about a 20% incline from left to right across the dirt road and into the dense forest at a higher elevation to the right. I was approximately 50 yards away when it saw me. The light was very low, but I saw this thing was not human at all. At least 7 to 8 feet tall, 450 pounds, no neck, and reddish in color. I'm assuming it means fur, but it just says reddish in color. I bolted in panic. This thing ran up the hill and started to parallel the road in which I was running, and I will never forget the scream it let out on the scream it let out. The cove was like an amphitheater. Okay, so I'm assuming he means it let out a scream, comma, and the cove was like an amphitheater, so it kind of encompassed the. But it sounded like a cow and a pig being killed on a rock concert sound system. Afterwards, many people, my pastor among them, many indicated that this creature had been seen and heard for many years in the area. I am now an airline captain, ex-fighter pilot, and hold a degree in zoology. One night I was watching Monster Quest and heard a Bigfoot scream, and my girlfriend said I turned white. It started to shake. This thing is real, no question about it. There again, that's 20 miles ish from my house.
You know, that's a common reaction with a lot of folks. You know, they'll put an encounter out of their mind, and then one little detail just brings it back with absolute clarity.
That's what happened to me. Reading your book. When I read Odin's Call, and you put that one scene in there when it was tree peaking and was talking about it swaying back and forth, I read that line, and that my encounter, because that's what it was doing in the door. It was doing that, and I read that line in your book, and just everything. I had repressed it so long. I hadn't thought about it or talked about it in years, and that line just brought it all back.
You know, and sometimes it's just a description like that that'll bring it back. Sometimes it's a sound. Sometimes it's a smell. I mean, memory is a weird thing. Memories that you've put behind you or forgotten, all it takes is a few notes of a song or somebody saying just the right phrase, and then everything just comes flooding back. And I know a lot of people that wanted to forget about their sightings, but um, it, it it triggers a response in a lot of people, especially people that didn't believe in the first place. It triggers a response very much like PTSD in some of these people. It's a very traumatic, world-shaking thing to come to terms with these things being out there, and especially if you've denied it since your whole life.
Yeah, and I don't know how it is for other people, but for me, I know I always believed in my heart of hearts that what I saw was what I saw, and that I wasn't imagining things, I wasn't making things up. I always believed that in my heart of hearts. But I think somewhere on the surface, I was starting to get to the point where I was just like, I'm just not going to talk about it anymore. I'm just going to act like it was a mistake, or you know what I'm saying. And then I had done that for so long, and just kind of, I don't know if repressed is the right word, but I, just kind of just packed it all in and not talked about it for so long, because anytime I talked about it with anybody other than my stepdad, they always made fun of me. So I just kind of just packed it away for so long. And, deep down, I still believed in myself and believed what I saw. But I guess on the surface, I just kind of like, well, whatever it is. Let's just write it off to me being a kid and being stupid. It's kind of how I played it to everybody else. And then when I read that line, it brought everything back, and it was almost like tearing the scab off a fresh wound, and all that stuff come back up to the surface. And then when you and I got started talking and all that stuff, and I was able to finally have the platform, which is where I'm at right now, to be able to talk about it. And then since then, this show has afforded me to be able to come and do some things, go do some scouts and things like that, and actually have other encounters to where it's done nothing but strengthen what I felt as a kid. I think if everybody had the ability or the opportunity to do something like that, would be, because that's been so beneficial to me. Because now, if somebody says something, oh, you're crazy, I'm like, well,
Am I?
come with me. We'll see how crazy I am. Because, case in point, Steve, you were in that spot, and I pointed that deer hide out to you, and you were like, not you were not the same type of person as all these other people that did that. You were the one that like, hey, I want to believe. I just want to see some evidence.
Mm-hmm.
You saw some evidence, but it's that
when you pointed it out that crunching sound you heard was me missing the shift when my paradigm shifted.
Yeah,
yeah, that was an experience.
Ron Yelton, I understand, man, and that is exactly why I kept this aspect of my life private while I was still active law enforcement, because most departments react like that. That for good, bad, or indifferent, that's how they're going to react. And I just kept guys I worked with for years didn't even know I was into this sort of thing. But now that I'm retired and doing my own thing, yeah, I'm going to speak up, and I don't have to worry about testifying in court anymore. And I'm going to say what I believe, and I'm going to talk about the things I've seen. I'm going to talk about the things we've done and encountered, and they can believe it or not. I don't care.
I'm saying I'm in the point where I can still testify in court, but I don't care. I mean, put me on a lie detector.
Right. Exactly.
But the therapeutic is not even. I mean, it is, but that doesn't even do it justice to how. Like I said, it's almost like a vindication feeling that you're like, yeah, I'm not crazy. I saw what I saw. I've since seen plenty of stuff to back up what I've seen, and I've told you many times that my mom used to be like, "Oh, you just had a nightmare," but I've been able to show her stuff that you and I have found together, and that I found by myself, and that I found with Steve and stuff like that. That like, okay, explain this, and she's like, "But well,
Just a nightmare, huh?"
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if I had a nightmare, explain this.
Right.
Yeah.
Mass hysteria. Right.
What does this to a deer? And hangs it in a tree.
Right. Nothing I know of.
Yeah. And my dad's sitting there right beside me going, go ahead, explain it. If he had a nightmare, explain that. Just can't explain it. It's like, yeah, call me crazy all these years.
Greg, I've done the same. I mean, over the years going to training at other departments and getting to know people with other agencies and stuff, there were times I would very, very cautiously broach the subject with folks, and I've gotten some great stories from other officers. Of course, I was given it under the proviso I don't use their name because most of them are still cops, but yeah, I've gotten some great stories from cops. So yeah, there are a lot of us that were in blue that had encounters, but they for fear of what your department will do or say about it, most guys are just would rather pretend it never happened and never speak of it.
And I think that was a lot more prevalent back in the day than it is now, because really, honestly, if you look at some of the crap that's going on nowadays, if a defense attorney ever brought that up to me, there is so much. Okay, I'm crazy because I saw Bigfoot, but yet this person over here can identify as a cat, and they're not crazy. Come on, don't even go there, buddy. I would probably say something like, I'd probably get held in contempt, but I probably would say something like that.
You'd probably make the judge laugh.
Probably. And little Patty, to answer your question, no, I didn't have any PTSD because I was so young. I didn't even know what that was. It scared the crap out of me, but
I've known a lot of people that their sighting shook them to their core. I mean, these were guys that were hardcore deer hunters and lifelong fishermen, and guys that had been served overseas and in the military, have come back and see one of these things, and it just absolutely changed their worldview. I know guys that were lifelong hunters that just refused to step foot in the woods now.
And let me preface this by saying I'm not saying that I'm any kind of a badass or anything like that. This is not what I'm saying with this. But some people, and you've heard me say that some people are just wired differently to do the kind of job that DA and Steve and I have done. And Steve's been a cop for a little while, but he's been an ER nurse forever. Greg can echo this same sentiment. Steve is in the chat, can echo it. Anybody that's been in the military can echo this. To do the job that we do, you have to be wired differently, and you have to look at things differently. You have to take things differently. And now that's not saying that people who are wired like us can't have that, but sometimes it just takes a lot more to shake people like that than it does.
These are people that are conditioned to run toward gunfire, not away from it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my dad describes it as having a whole lot of ain't right.
Greg's absolutely right. We've made the same point, dude. People have gone to prison on eyewitness testimony, but suddenly it's no good when it comes to Bigfoot.
Right.
And that was one of the things that I threw at my mother. I was like, okay, so, and I'd already said something to my dad about it, and he agreed with me, obviously, because he believes, and he was a cop too. I'm like, I said, okay, Mom, how is it okay to send somebody to prison based on what I said as an eyewitness, but you don't believe me when I say I saw this? I said, but if you were a judge sitting there and I as a police officer told you this, that I saw this person commit this crime, that'd be enough for you to issue a warrant. But me sitting here as a police officer and telling you that I saw this is not enough for you to believe I just had a nightmare. And she couldn't answer that. She's like, well, I'm not. But it is what it is. I'm sorry. I just.
Reinerson had a good comment. She said, "Can you imagine the guys who saw the giant of Kandahar?" Yeah, I imagine those guys weren't all right with the world for a while.
Yeah. Well, you made a very good point, Robbie. For her to believe you, that means that suddenly she has to believe herself, and maybe she's just not ready to go there.
Well,
and I'll be honest, it was a really uncomfortable feeling for me as a agnostic, if you will, of the cryptid lore, to see that deer leg and that fish head and not be able to explain it. With the knowledge of the outdoors and there's a logical mind, I couldn't explain it, and that bothered me.
And that's a lot of the problem that people have, Steve, and I think you just said it, is when you see something like that, your mind has to go where it hasn't been willing to go for so long, because you've been in that, this is just fantasy, this is just fiction, this is just a bunch of people that are crazy, and you see something like that and you're like, crap.
Right.
Angela Moore wanted to know what the giants of Kandahar were. Without going into a whole lot of detail, there was allegedly, and supposedly this happened more than once, but a team of special forces were looking for a missing patrol in Afghanistan. And when they started following the discarded equipment and pieces, they came upon a large cave and discovered this massive red-haired giant that came out of the cave and attacked them, killed several of them before they were able to bring it down with automatic weapons fire. And then the government whisked the body away. But supposedly these red-headed giants live in caves in Afghanistan, which is funny because we have stories of red-haired giants in caves here in the United States. The Lovelock Cave incident comes to immediately to mind. Those were documented skeletons that still had red hair clinging to them, gigantic skeletons that were on display in the museum in Lovelock, Nevada. And the Smithsonian said they wanted to study them, and the museum at Lovelock still have the receipts where they were signed over to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian now claims they have no record whatsoever.
How convenient.
Yeah.
Well, and I think Greg hit the nail on the head. That's where I was going with it. He said it's fear, pure fear. But when your mind has to go to that place that you've never been before, you've never been willing to go before, you've never been willing to admit was a possibility. It's like we say, if Bigfoot's real, what else is real? If this thing is out there, what else is out there? And it's it's like we said, it's that paradigm shift. Because once that light switch is tripped or is flipped, you can't turn it back off again. You can't unsee this stuff. You can't go back to the nice little cozy existence in that little box of protection that you lived in before. That was, oh, this is all fairy tale. This is all this. This stuff don't happen. There aren't really things that go bump in the night. Well, there are, and you got to deal with that. And some people deal with it, like we said, they're just okay. I'm done. I'm gonna stay as deep in population in a population center as I can and surround myself with people and never go anywhere on the outskirts of society ever again. And you got people like us who are like, ooh, get me to the most remote location we can possibly find and let's see what we can find.
Let's go to an abandoned campground that's bulldozed off on a lake that you have to get into it by boat.
That sounds like a fun night.
It was a great idea.
It was.
It was a hell of a good night. Other than us, turning Steve into Monrodus of Borg.
That's all right. I get healed up. We can go back. I'm just going to travel a little better armed than I did the last time.
I think next time I will probably wear knee braces when I go. Because I wear them when I go to Sword Dog City anyway. I mean, why wasn't I wearing them then?
Well, and I will probably wear this one. God knows I've paid for the damn thing. It is interesting. I have to completely second what you said, Bobby. Oh, Bobby, God bless. Robbie.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn it, Bobby.
When there's something wrong with that boy. When I started doing this show originally with DA, and when he suggested to me, I'm like, okay, well, I can get on here. I can have a drink with my buddy, and maybe help him sell some of his books. And then we started doing kind of the cryptid stuff. I'm like, okay, well, it's just the two of us. He's clearly the believer. I'll be the counterpoint because I'm the non-believer / agnostic of the group. And then the more I've learned, the more evidence I'm getting. And you can't put it
kind of on the fence after he saw that Joe Bald video.
Yeah. Like I said,
he fell off the other side of the fence when he saw the deer hide, though.
I definitely wouldn't call myself a non-believer now. Certainly, if anything else, I'm a rejuvenated agnostic because I want more evidence now. I want to see the next thing.
Hey Noah,
but
I don't think that's what
wouldn't
deal with that night, was it? About wanting to see more evidence.
Hey, to repeat my same phrase from that night, fuck you, Robbie.
Is it exactly?
No,
Steve, you went on like a 3.5 minute tangent. I don't know if you realize this or not, but me and Noah was just sitting there looking at you like, because you're like, I know what I said before. I said before I wanted to see a body. I want to see this and this and that. But fuck that. I don't want to see that anymore. I don't need to see that anymore. I want to get out of here. Right? That is exactly how you were doing.
That's exactly what happened. I was trying to get my rational mind back under me because it had left.
Rational brain was gone. It has left the peninsula.
Seriously, it's DA will understand the reference from you're reading Jonathan's books. Joe Ledger and his multiple personalities. I was at that point where the modern man was just hiding under the bed. There was
primitive Steve had came out to play at this point.
Oh yeah.
Hey, basically
monkey brain Steve.
Yeah, lizard brain Steve. He went back. He went past monkey brain. He was in lizard brain Steve.
Yeah. Lizard brain Steve was trying to figure out how quick he could get out of there wounded. The more cop Steve was counting how many rounds he had and what chance he had of coming out of that alive. And then the modern man Steve was looking for a place to hide.
Steve was wondering at that point if he could actually swim across the lake.
But what's funny is all three of those Steves were talking at the same time.
That is a fact. And the scariest part about it for me is when we started hearing, I was getting my mind wrapped around the fact that we had seen what we saw. But then I completely couldn't function when I realized they were both in front of us and behind us. And from what I know of animal behavior, especially predatory animal behavior, I was like,
that's a bad.
They're trying to pick one of us off. Yeah, and I'm thinking, okay, if we were a group of gazelle, I was the one that the cheetah was getting ready to pounce on, because I was the best target. I was moving the slowest. I was clearly injured. If they could smell pheromones, they could probably smell the adrenaline because I was hurting like a bitch. In my head, I wasn't keeping up with y'all. I'm thinking, oh God, I'm going to be the one that gets it.
That's why we
And then,
put you in
of
the
course,
middle of the group, Steve.
well, you guys picked up on it at that point and put me in the middle of the herd. But there was this span of 10 or 15 minutes where, as Doc put it, I was going to get it. And I wasn't okay with that.
Me and
You
Noah
were
kind
the
of
best medic we had, so we weren't going to let you get it.
Nobody touches Doc.
He was the okayest medic we had at the time.
That's right. Harold Goodell had a good comment. He said, "At what point while researching do you decide that it's time to leave?" Generally, I would say when things start getting aggressive, we all go armed. We don't go out there with the intention of shooting one of these things. I have no plans whatsoever of being the guy who brings one in. Don't want to kill one, don't want to shoot one, and I will only shoot one in defense of myself or one of the people I'm with. So our plan is not to go out and try to bring one down. I think that would be ludicrous, because if it turns out that they are as smart as we think we are, you probably just committed murder. But beyond that, even if they're not, odds are he's not alone. So his buddies may want a little piece of revenge, and maybe stringing up some long pig in a tree, very much like a certain deer.
And
when they started throwing rocks, that was the point where I was totally ready to unask the AO. Let's put it that way.
And Greg House asked if any of us would have the cojones to go into Portlock, Alaska. Dude, I would straight up go into Portlock tomorrow if I had the money.
Oh, and
I know a guy in Alaska that would take us in. I would spend a week on the ground there if I could. I would absolutely go into Portlock, Alaska. Yes, I would be armed to the freaking teeth, but I would absolutely go into Portlock.
100%.
Robbie and Doc would be right there with me, grinning like idiots. We'd have Steve there, and we might all go missing, or you might only find Steve swimming out to the boat. But
seems like I tried to tell him to run, but them idiots wouldn't listen.
You find a leg of a human up in a tree with a knee brace on it.
Yeah, I think we found part of Steve. Noah says he'd go. My wife would murder me for taking him, but yeah, he'd go.
Yeah,
that's right. You're more scared of your wife than you are of Bigfoot. It's okay.
Damn right.
Yeah,
Bigfoot doesn't know where I sleep. She does.
We got threatened a lot last week.
Vic, thank you for the super chat, man.
Thanks, Vic. Yeah, we got threatened a lot last week to make sure Noah was okay.
Yeah, she said, "I don't care if you two morons get eaten. You bring my baby home."
I think one point Dan was like, "Well, what about me and Robbie?" She goes, "I don't care about y'all. You got my baby." Cool. I dig it.
Make sure he's got the keys, so if you get 8, he can still get out. John Lamb says, "Sorry, DA, bugs too bad in Portlock. I'm out." You should have seen the clouds of bugs we were in the other night.
Seriously.
I'm not too worried about the bugs because we were hitting clouds of them. I must have swallowed a pound of bugs just breathing.
We got our protein intake for the week. The first 2 minutes we were on.
I'm definitely going to invest in a few more cans of that off stuff I was using because it kept them away from me. I mean, they would be nearby, but they wouldn't light on me.
Well, we were all covered in off and other chemicals, but I still managed to have to kill like a bajillion bugs that were landing on my face. They kept getting under my glasses and freaking me out.
Hey, DA, my question is, since we answered, is the Woodwalkers got the cojones to go with the Ex Machina to Portland?
Oh yeah, if I could find a way to fund that trip, I'd definitely take them. Vic Kumar says, "What weapons would you need to successfully defend yourself against these things?" Dude, anything we could tell you on that would just be pure speculation. Probably anything heavy caliber, 458 SOCOM, 500 Beowulf, 4570, anything with a big solid core. But I think ultimately what it's going to come down is where you put the shot, not so much what caliber you're using. An animal that big, and this applies to people that have hunted elk, because that's a very dense animal. You've got to use a very heavy slug to punch into a vital organs on an elk. But there are other ways to bring an organism down, and we've talked about this before. Hit the big arteries. If you had to shoot one of these things, and again, I don't plan to, but if I have to, I'm going to try to hit the carotid arteries in the neck, the brachial artery in the upper inside upper arm, the femorals down in the thigh, or just pump an entire magazine into his gonads. There's plenty of big arteries right there.
I'm gonna say I was already kind of thinking along those lines. I'm like, okay, what kind of a good shot could I make in a pinch? And my thought was I was going to mag dump into his junk. It's only 9mm, but it's 17 damn rounds.
Yeah, it may not kill him, but he ain't gonna like it much. 3D says shoot him in the ding ding.
That's a comment.
Status is just cook a bunch of bacon.
Yep.
Yeah, you might have a friend for life if you feed him bacon. That's right, Greg. Get him in the pelvic girdle. Speaking of the pelvic girdle, one of my captains at Greene County, I'm not going to say his name. Anybody that works there has worked there, will know exactly who I'm talking about. When he was a patrol officer, he worked for another county before he came to Greene County. He got shot 6 times in the pelvic girdle and drove himself to meet the EMTs. He damn near bled out. That is one tough SOB. 6 times in the pelvic girdle.
Hey, your body armor don't come into play when you get shot in the pelvic girdle.
He had next to no blood left in his body when they started pumping it into him. He arrived where they, told him where he's going to meet him because they were having to come from town, and he was out in the middle of nowhere. He knew if he waited on him, he'd bleed out. So he drove. He said he was starting to get really going toward unconsciousness when he was getting close. He pulled into the spot where he said he would meet him, and all but blacked out. And they just started pumping him full of blood, trying to keep him alive, keeping him fluids on him, keep his heart pumping. But he damn near died, but saved himself.
Well, assuming that you're luck out and they missed the femoral, the iliac artery is the size of my little finger, and there's 2 of them. It don't take all that much time for 10 pints of liquid to flow out a hole that big.
It's a fact.
Well, when we were in Doc's class, he showed a video that, let's just say, it's not safe for work. But, and I don't remember. I want to say it was Somalia, somewhere, some area where they are apt to execute people who they don't like or have a different opinion than they do. And it's pretty much what they did. They executed this cat. But the whole point of Doc showing it to us was, he's like, all right. He said, when you hear the gunshots, I'm going to hit the timer on my clock. And then when he goes down, I'm going to stop the timer. So the guy's on his hands and knees, and he's begging, please don't, in whatever language and they shoot him. Doc hits the timer. 11 seconds. He's on the ground. He never got back up. I mean, he kind of moved a little bit again, but he never come back up.
It don't take long to bleed out. Josh Dalton, I believe it was a 9mm handgun he got shot with.
So, to Steve's point,
I know
it don't take long at all.
And I would pray that these critters are plumbed like we are. I was thankful I had my 9mm just for the light of it, the lightweight of ammunition, the amount of ammunition I could carry. But I mean, if I was really loading to engage something like that, I would want something like, 50 AE, 44 Magnum, something, and full metal jacket, heavy loads, brass solids if I could get a hold of them, because I was loading for coyotes. Worst case scenario, mountain lion.
Jenkins said
just because
next time he goes with us, he's taking his 50 Desert Eagle.
What Jenkins say?
Jenkins said next time he goes with us, he's taking his 50 Desert Eagle.
He's a smart man. I like him.
He said a 9mm did not seem adequate when we were out there.
That's the understatement of the year.
But
We're at the losing end of an arms race, sir.
it's all about shot placement, though. If you're calm and you do what you're supposed to do and what you're trained to do, and you put shots where they count.
And again, this is the reason I don't want to shoot one, because there's no guarantee you can put one down before it could rip you limb from limb. Unless it's roaring at you and you can put one through the back of its throat and into the pineal gland, you're probably not going to drop it. The only way to drop that thing instantly is turn the computer off, and that's a lot of skull to put a round through. And I've seen people use large caliber rifles and tried to shoot an elk in the head, and it just careened off. I mean, that's a lot of bone on a big animal. So unless you get a dead-on shot with a very powerful gun, I would not count on a headshot. That's a lot of muscle.
A few weeks ago,
bone.
A few weeks ago, Kentucky Ballistics shot hit a replica of a grizzly skull filled up with like fake blood, whatever. He shot in the head with a 500 Magnum, and it skimmed the top of the scalp and just cracked the skull. And that was a 500 Magnum at just about point blank range. And at
that point, the grizzly bear would have eaten him.
Well, yeah, and the look he gave to the camera at that point was just like, oh hell,
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah, it was ballistics gel and zombie blood.
Yep. It was like an 85-pound grizzly skull. Was that what he said?
Yeah, it was representative of an adolescent. It was not even an adult.
Yeah, an adolescent grizzly. Yeah, and
a full-grown grizzly in the head. Good luck. Although I was surprised at what a 40 cal did and a 10mm. I was surprised how much damage those did.
Well, did you see where he did it? He was KSP. And he did the all the guns that they've been issued over, and he did and the 10mm did outperform the 40, but not like maybe like
as much as you would think.
Yeah, it was like a quarter of an inch, maybe.
Right. Well, nowadays, unless you read the fine print, a lot of your 10mm is not fully loaded either.
But that the 9mm over penetrated or penetrated further than both of those. Now the wound channel is not as big. The wound channel is bigger for the 40 and the 10, but the 9mm penetrated better. So
my nine is loaded with plus P law enforcement loads. It's not loaded with the same stuff you can go buy over the counter at your local gun shop. My 9's running a little hotter.
Well, but like you said, it's all speculation because nobody really knows if they're plumbed like we are anyway. To quote Steve, you just kind of
most mammals are very similar. So I think it's safe to assume they're similar to us, but certainly not identical. But I would guess big in similar places as ours. So if you're shooting that in the inside of the upper arm or hitting it in the neck, it's going to be just as lethal on them as it is on us. But if they got a much bigger volume of blood, it might take longer to pump it out. So even if you got a good shot on one, it might still be enraged and do enough damage to kill you and everybody you're with in the 40, 50 seconds it's got left. Which is, again,
what is that? What is that saying? F your cover, F the five guys behind you.
Pretty much. Mark Nebier says we broke up for a minute. I don't know. We probably got too close to a subject and YouTube scrambled us.
Yeah, you kind of blanked out there for a second. That's why I went like this.
Oh, okay.
Did he go out on your side too, Steve?
Yep, it was garbled. It sounded like he had a crossover signal or something.
Oh, it completely dropped. It's like you were like, "Hey, Annette." It's like me.
How long did I break out?
30 seconds ish.
Yeah, if that.
That's not good.
you know, and it's good to sit here and kind of speculate and brainstorm and whatever else you want to say about stuff like that. But like DA always says, number one, we don't go out there with the intention of being the guys who bring one down. We go out there with the intention of being able to come back. That's why we're armed. We're not armed to go bag one. We're armed so if something happens, and that could be from any kind of predator.
I've gone elk hunting, and it took 2 of us and a 4-wheeler to get the elk out of the woods. I don't know what the hell it would take to get a Bigfoot out.
Well, like I've told you guys before, I want evidence, but I want to be able to live long enough to tell somebody about it.
Yeah.
I imagine Robert's boat probably wouldn't have been able to carry one out because it had enough trouble carrying 4 of us.
Yeah. That thing would have been draped across the front of that boat, and that would have been it. Like, all right, you're going to take that to the shore and then come back for us. But at that point, if we did drop one and we're trying to get it out of there, there would have been probably no holding back. The rest would have been coming for the body, and we could tell already that we weren't. There wasn't just one keeping an eye on us. I think we would have been in for a hell of a firefight if we'd have took a shot at one. I really do.
I was going to say leave its ass behind because we ain't going to get out with the body.
Oh no.
Yeah,
and
if we'd have shot one, I don't think we'd have got out at all because there was no way for him to get all of us out at once with that boat. Just impossible. We'd have swamped that boat.
Well, the trouble he was having getting the motor to fire too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, was that we come back and pick the 3 of us up? It took him like what 4 or 5 cranks before it finally spun
Yeah, I was
over.
like,
here we go.
We're not rowing back.
Well, he had the trolling motor. You could go back.
Luckily, he had the trolling motor, so he did back us out into the big water before he started doing that. So I'm like, at least they have to swim to us to.
No kid. House said I've personally been the guy that thought I was going to have to try and stop one. I've stopped a bluff charge more than once by leveling a 30-06 down in him. That's a brown shorts moment. Yeah, I bet that's a fact, man. Ooh, and again, I hope I don't ever find myself in that situation, but I'm prepared for it if I do. But we do not want to shoot one.
No.
Not if we have any other choice.
House, I didn't see if you answered the question. Did you and Spencer say yes or no? Did y'all go with us if we could fund this? I want to know. Y'all, because we're crazy enough to go.
Oh yeah, we're definitely dumb enough to go. Even if the only way we came out of there was as a what do they call that? They don't just call it Bigfoot. They call it I know I can't think of the name of it, but come out of there as a Bigfoot bowel movement.
Bigfoot turd.
Yeah. Floating in the harbor disguised as Bigfoot turds. Greg says, "Hell yeah!"
There you go.
All right, House. If I can find a way to fund it, you can bet your ass I'll take
Spencer. What about you?
I'll take an expedition into Portlock. I am not one bit afraid to go. I might be stupid, but
yep, let's go.
That was pretty well public domain knowledge there, DA.
What's that?
That was pretty much public domain knowledge there, DA.
Sure.
That you've been called stupid.
Mrs. Moon says, you ever seen the Men in Black when out checking for these creatures? Not the Men in Black per se, but Robbie and I have had something very bizarre happen down at Joe Bald. First time I took Joe Bald down, I took Robbie down to Joe Bald. There were 2 vans down there that were marked 24-hour service. No other information, just 24-hour service. And these are large panel vans. One of them left as soon as we got there, and the other one stayed. And when we found tracks that we couldn't cast because we didn't have any casting material with us, when we came back the next day, those tracks had been destroyed. And the only people that knew that we had seen them was the dude who was watching this in the van. And you could see where they pulled down, drove over the tracks, then backed right back out and left. That's all they did was drove over the tracks we found in the mud next to the lake. And then the next time we were down there, when we were trying to do the live broadcast, there was a dude down there in a plain panel van with no markings on it whatsoever that followed us when we moved positions some 3 different times and didn't leave until we did. So I can't say we had a Men in Black encounter, but I'm fairly certain somebody was keeping tabs on us while we were down there. Both times, Robbie.
I agree.
Thank you, Vic. Appreciate it, man.
Yep. And Sonia's got a good question. Do we need permission to go to Port Luck, or just can anyone go?
Yes, you do. Because that's considered tribal land. But Fred knows a guy.
Okay, cool. We got. We
would have to get permission from the tribal elders to go in there, but Fred said, he knows who to talk to. So.
Yeah, got the clearances, so to speak.
So, all that being said, anybody in the chat knows how to raise the money. Wants to send us goofballs out there to Port Luck, see if we can find something.
And hopefully we'll have the uplink capability that we're trying to build, so we can broadcast live from there. I know there's not a whole lot of cell service in Port Luck, but not a whole on the whole Alaskan peninsula. But if it does what I think it's going to do, then we might be okay. And if it doesn't work the way I think it will, we can always broadcast from a sat phone.
Yep. And Sonia, we're saying if we get the money up, yes, we will go.
Yes. Yeah, no doubt in my military mind. We raise the money, my ass is going to Port Luck. Don Donaldson says, DA, do you think that they knew from your show that you're all going to be there? I don't know. I don't know if they were expecting us per se, but I think they keep a very close eye on that place.
Yeah, because the idea to go live from there,
for the moment.
Yeah, that was DA and Noah and I talking. That was not anything that we talked about doing on the show. That was something that the three of us were sitting around DA's table and said, "Hey, let's go back to Joe Ball and let's try to do a live show since tomorrow."
Good enough signal, let's go live.
Yeah. So that wasn't anything that was announced on the show that we were going to go and we were going to try to do a live. And
was not the best live we've ever done, but lessons were learned and plans were made.
Mm-hmm. Well, and truthfully, I didn't even know you guys were going down there. You had invited me to Moon Valley, and of course, at that point, I was crippled up. And then the Joe Bald thing, I found out after the fact. And so, I mean, the number of people who knew were all at your kitchen table. So, it'd been really hard for the Men in Black or the Men in Van to know where you were.
Right. Spencer says it's not enough to go to Port Luck looking for Bigfoot. DA wants to broadcast live while there. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
I mean, what better thing to do than to go live?
What if one of us get
videos can be edited. And I'm not going to call out any other organizations or groups that go out and film these Bigfoot shows, but videos can be edited. Live video, you're just seeing what you see. We're not throwing out CGI or anything during a live video. So what we're seeing, you're seeing.
The only problem with you broadcasting it live to YouTube is if you all get killed, YouTube will not air it because it'll be a snuff film.
Well, if it's live, it's just going to get taken down after the fact.
Right.
No, Greg. Paper chew if we get it.
Yeah,
just like
paper
Tyson,
chew.
Just like Tyson and Holyfield. Paper
That's
chew.
Right. Roxanne, that's true, but I don't think any of us had them out. Mine was in my pocket. So if it was picking up anything, it was... Ron Yelton says 12 to 15 foot tall ones in Alaska. I'm good. Yeah, I would still definitely go. I'm still, for the life of me, I can't think of what they call it. I know they call it the hairy man, but there's the Nantinaq. I knew I'd think of it. The Nantinaq, and they're supposed to be far more aggressive. So if we are, if we are going to do this, then not only are we going to have a safety briefing, a big one, prior to going in there, we're also going to have a group exfiltration strategy. 3D Havoc, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
We
3D.
will plan a group exit strategy. I don't know if that would be a Zodiac on the beach or what, but we would have something big enough to take the entire team. And if the team's big enough, maybe we would have 2 Zodiacs or something like that. But we would have something there that we could grab and get the hell out of there should the need arise. But ferrying us back and forth in 2s, not going to cut it when Nantinaq territory.
We gotta see if we can find a friend who has a Black Hawk.
Ain't no joke.
And I would definitely want somebody. We'll have to bring Rick with you and have him set up on Overwatch. Watching the exfil site.
Vic Kumar says Starlink set up on a boat. Actually, our plan is something similar, but what we're going to try to build. The kit I've got in mind is basically a man-pack portable version.
Oh yeah, we've already kind of started visualizing the build.
What we need to do, yeah.
But
I did not know that, Roxanne. But if they're listening to an author from Springfield, Missouri, then they must have way more time on their hands than you would expect. I'm probably not even a blip on their radar, but yeah, get to the chopper.
No, I'm here. Give me out.
Dueling Schwarzeneggers. Get out the man pack.
If you keep on doing the dueling Schwarzeneggers the whole way to the site, the feds are eventually going to get tired of listening to that shit. They'll just hang up.
Exactly.
KHR 797 Kenneth says, I've heard they'll sink your boat and ambush up there. Very tactical. Well, that's the thing. We're going to have to go in with a big enough team. One, there's going to be a support team on the boat. We'd have to take it. We'd have to charter a big enough boat for the entire expedition, because it's not only going to be our base of supply, but it's also going to be our emergency shelter. It's going to be our medical facility. So we are going to be, miles and miles from anywhere up there. So the boat's our lifeline. So we got to have a security team to guard in the boat, and we got to have a security team on the ground.
And we got to have a security team regarding Greg, apparently. Did you read his comment?
No, what'd he say?
Hang on, I got it. Here it comes.
Don Donald says, look out for them flying trees. You betcha. Greg, I'm telling you up front, you'll have to watch me take a crap. I'm not going in the woods alone there. I watch too many scary movies. That's when you get got.
Oh. Well, I'm not crazy enough to go looking to the woods like y'all are, but if you could raise the money, I will definitely back you up as a medic on the boat.
I would
love to be part of that.
Doc on the ground, you on the boat, if that's where you want to be.
That works. Works.
Recording everything that you see on the boat with a long-range camera and thermal.
Well, and with Doc having the actual field experience, he'd make a better medic on the ground anyway. I mean, the dude's Air Force. I am, wish I would have been military.
Jeff Yarrington says Overwatch with a 50 Barrett. I don't know anybody that has a 50 Barrett, but I do know an ex-sniper.
Rick has a Barrett.
Rick's got a Barrett? Well, if we could talk Rick into going, then we got Overwatch.
Yep. His is an M82. He doesn't have the fancy optics that he used to use when he was deployed, but he's got the Barrett.
You know who you need to invite on this soiree? Clint.
Yeah. I've got a good friend who is a retired naval spec war operator. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, Clint would be top of the list of people to invite for the security team.
I was going to say, put Rick on that boat with some kind of a fixed mounting, and he could knock off Sasquatch's left nut at 1,000 meters.
Vic Kumar said, would 50K cover it? Yeah, easily. It would get all the equipment, rent the boat, get us all up there. Yeah, I believe 50K would cover it.
Yeah. Because I would think we would probably have to drive so we could carry all our stuff. Because that would be...
Yelton says, an aircraft carrier with Abraham parked on the deck for Overwatch. I don't think the water there is deep enough to get a carrier in there. It would be off coast, doing airlifts, but you could not get a boat that big into that cove.
You could get a trawler somewhere relatively close.
Trawler would probably be about the end of it.
But that's
that was fishing grounds.
Yeah.
But you get close to Portlock, the water ain't that deep. However, there used to be a pier there. There's still remnants of the pier. So apparently the water was deep enough to tie up boats of at least moderate size.
Yeah.
Spencer, we would have more than one medic. Doc, who is a combat medic. Steve is a nurse. I've got first responder training with first aid and trauma kits. Robbie's got the same training. We would have multiple redundancies. Not only would we need that in the medics, but also need people who could handle the comms. We would have 1 to 2 people that all they did was photograph everything. That was their entire job. Is you take pictures of everything.
And see, that's Spencer. Since you brought that up, that's a good kind of...
Sentinel's in the house.
Who? What?
Sentinel's in the house.
Sentinel!
Sweet!
What's up, man?
What's up, Six Gun?
Another...
Vic Kumar says that our Overwatch will be the first to disappear. Our Overwatch probably ain't going ashore. Overwatch would stay on the boat. Because that bay is fairly calm water. And I would say Rick could probably cover us pretty well from shore. Because it's not... With Portlock, it's not like I really want to go way up into the mountains. I just want to explore the peninsula around the town.
Where the town used to be.
It would take a much bigger expedition to go up into the mountains.
Well, most of the time, from what I've seen on stuff, they don't want you going off much further than the town is anyway. They'll tell you don't go off into the woods. So, but anyway, back to what Spencer was saying, that's something we kind of talked about that we've...
Sentinel would be one of the guys I'd be calling. I mean,
yeah.
You look up badass in the dictionary, you've got a picture of Sentinel grinning back at you, probably flipping you off.
I wouldn't be too concerned about something taking out Rick either. I'm more scared of Rick than I am Bigfoot.
Sentinel, you up for a trip to Alaska?
I would talk to Clint. I would talk to Sentinel. Jenkins would probably be pissed if we didn't bring him.
Let's just get the real live wild hunt.
Hey, Clint might be able to hook you up with one of them Zodiac boats that the SEALs used to go in. I forgot what they're called.
Clint would surprise us with what he could probably bring to the table. And apparently, according to certain sources, apparently I wasn't far off the mark with the mimic units. So who knows? Maybe we could get something like that.
You meet the real wild hunt.
Well, we're all based on real people anyway, so.
Penny Van, Fred would be the guy I would call to guide us in.
Yeah, you meet the real wild hunt, and there is an NDA that you have to sign. You never can publish it, or you end up in Gitmo.
Hey, look, Marcinko did Red Sail, which was the true story of all his exploits and his fictional writing, which was basically just real stuff that he changed the names and places.
Oh.
It can happen, Steve.
It can.
Transport says Harry Man Dingleberry.
See, I was just thinking about what happened to poor Jonathan when he wrote the one King of Plague story, and the military bought it.
Yeah, when they bought that story and told him he could never publish it. Penny, Fred would be the first guy I would call to get his permission to get in there, and 2 as our guide. Plus, it'd be one of those we'd be filming, and so would he for his channel.
Cam could Howard co-sell it from the boat.
What is that?
More like a redneck Howard Cosell.
What is it he says about the what they calls his chickens? When the chickens won't quit making noise, was it like a spicy one or a cheeky one or whatever it was he called it?
That's a spicy one or something like that. It cracks
Yeah.
me up.
Can you imagine? He's watching one of us get mauled by Sasquatch. He's like, "Ooh, that's a spicy one."
Robert D says, "Where would you set up Steve's bar at?" If I had the money, I would probably build it where it's supposed to be, right outside the south gate of Fort Leonard Wood.
Yeah, that may still happen. My wife and I were talking when we first ate at the Bent Penny that I took you guys to. She's like, "This is exactly how I imagined a place that you would buy and just kind of bullshit with people." I'm like, "That's exactly what I had in mind."
I may go up there with you one of these nights and take them some stuff if they want it.
That was a cool little bar.
Yeah.
I like that place.
Go up there one night when Alicia's working because she's kind of the boss. I totally saw Steve's when I went there.
Greg House says, "Can we please ask the Turtle Man to go with us?" I don't know him that well. I don't know. It would be strictly people I knew and trusted. So I don't know the guy. So I don't know. We'll see.
Turtle Man got any Bigfoot experience, or has he just got snapping turtle experience?
N4 UPD says Marlon Perkins describing Jim getting eaten by a Bigfoot.
Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom.
That's right.
Well, Jim has got his hands full with the anaconda. I think he's got
This
him.
large predator.
While Jim wrestles the bull alligator, I slip into a tent with a picture of Mai Tais and a native girl.
Too bad you couldn't round up somebody like Les Stroud.
I don't know Les, but he'd be a good one to take.
He just seems like a neat person,
Les was on
I'd love
Small
to sit
Town
down and have a
Monsters.
drink with him.
You might could get in touch with Eli, and
Doesn't mean he'd want to go.
no, it doesn't. But I mean, he might. You never know.
Yeah, John Lamb. Yes, we are leaving them out. No, I wouldn't take any of them deer hunting, let alone where we're planning on going. Robert D says he has Bigfoot tails, Robbie. Use them as bait.
Man?
House says use them as bait. I don't know. We would have to keep the group manageable because the more people we add, the more expensive it's going to get. Ideally, probably 5 people on the boat, 10 people on the ground. Any bigger than that, it just becomes clunky and hard to manage.
Well, then you can't vet everybody.
Exactly. I want to keep the group small. Well, the thing about it is, and I mentioned this when we were talking about going into Combs Ferry, and Wyatt did a great job. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking Wyatt in any way. But everybody on that team except Wyatt, I knew was the kind of person who wasn't gonna pull their pistol at the first sign of trouble. Wyatt was pretty cool-headed. He did fine. So I'm not saying anything bad about that. But the kind of thing in a situation like that, you've got to know everybody around you is not only confident with a firearm, but calm with it too. I took some guys out a number of years ago, and one of them panicked and started shooting. And I had to take his shotgun away from him because he damn near shot me. So I'm very picky about who goes on one of these things now. Or if they go, they don't go armed. That's the kicker. The group would have to be small, and it'd have to be made up entirely of people I knew would be cool under fire.
Yeah, if you don't want anybody to go Barney Fife on you.
Now that's a fact. The last thing I want, is the medics to have to treat something. And of all the things that they could possibly have to treat for, gunshot wound is the bottom of that list. I don't want any of us to get shot by our own people.
How sick Spencer's a Virginia ninja.
It's awesome. As much shit as y'all give me for being scared, I never did clear leather, so No,
you were fine, dude. And Wyatt was too. I mean, but that's the whole thing is you've got to go with people you trust. in a situation, if the situation turns bad, the last thing you want to do is look over your shoulder at the guy that you thought was watching your back and see him giving you the smallest assholes and elbows target he can possibly give while going over the hill a quarter mile away.
Well, we are
Boys,
at the
we need a
2-hour
bigger
mark,
boat.
gentlemen.
Ain't wrong.
So I say it's settled. I say we just need to start working on funding.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, if I got a Netflix deal, you can bet we're going to do some stuff like that.
well, this may be what gets you your Netflix deal. Who knows?
Yeah, it could be. Could get us spotted. Right, Jeff is absolutely right. Everybody's got a job to do, and if they break and run, then somebody's got to cover that. And if they break and run, it might be them that's in danger because they left the group. So you've got to have a group that is people that is going to stand their ground when things get bad. Because if we've got to back out of there in a hurry, we've got to do it as a team. Because if anybody runs, that's going to be the first one picked off.
Be like the lawyer on Jurassic Park.
He left
Get
us
taken
right.
out in the shitter.
Yeah, damn right, Greg. If we go down, we're going down together.
in a pile of brass.
Yep. On live camera.
Live action. Is that just for you, Greg? Yes, Sonia, we're serious.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'd do it tomorrow if I could, but we've still got to set up a GoFundMe to even build the outside rig. So we've got a ways to go before we're going to be ready, but yeah, we've got some equipment to get and build and before we could fund it. Yeah, this is something we are definitely wanting to do. I mean, I ain't getting any younger, but I'm still spry enough to where I can hold my own.
And John,
no action. That's right.
Yep, John.
Ninja
we don't want to tag along with another group. We want to do our own thing because just tagging along is not.
Yeah, this would be our expedition, not some group from a television station, because that's all it would be. It'd be about them. And
well, he said Small Town Monsters was going back, so I mean, and we love the guys at Small Town Monsters. Don't get us wrong, but we don't want to just tag along. That's So we were talking about if we can get with the Woodwalkers and do our own thing, our own investigate. We're not beholden to what some other channel that's bigger than us is. Oh, this is what we're going to do. Nothing against them, but if we want to search here and we want to do this and we want to do that, we want to be able to do our own thing. Basically, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Let Operation Alaska Wild Hunt begin.
That's right. Richie, I don't know about needing firepower. I think we've got most of the pew-pews covered. But I probably will still add a couple to my collection. I don't want it to carry an M1 Garand through that area.
Between me, you, Greg, Doc, Steve, and I'm sure Spencer's got stuff too, but just those that I just mentioned, I know for sure. Between Greg and Doc, period. I mean, me and DA got stuff, but Greg and Doc, far superior firepower to what me and DA have. So between
the big problem you have would be driving it there because you could have to go through Canada. They're not real
not necessarily
comfortable.
You can take a charter boat from Washington across to Alaska. You can actually have your car transported.
That's cool.
Because there's no way we could go through, even on the Trans-American Highway. There's no way you could go into Canada with that kind of firepower.
I didn't realize what the laws were.
At the same time, when I mentioned coming up there to Fred's like, "Don't worry about guns. I got you covered." So if we had to go up by car, Fred said he could outfit a good sized expedition with firepower.
Sentinel said he's got
to be the guide and armorer.
Sentinel said he's got a Super Soaker 3000.
Well, we definitely want the big jarhead himself, Sentinel, coming with us, and yeah, Clint would be one of the first people I'd want to contact, and I guarantee you he'd be down to go. Oh, he'd be like, hell yeah, I'm going. Let me clear up my schedule.
But
So,
we're talking about all that. Is there not a way, like if we chartered a private plane or something that we could bypass going through all that?
Yeah, we wouldn't have to go to. Because hunters do it all the time. Take all their hunting supplies with them up to Alaska. Yeah, we could charter a flight out of basically anywhere here in the lower 48 and fly right into, say, Anchorage.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg House said they have a great guest on tomorrow on Woodwalkers at 1:30 Central Time. Greg, who is it going to be again? I saw it earlier, but I can't remember what the name you said. But y'all make sure you check out Woodwalkers on here on
check them
YouTube.
out.
Give them a like, share, and subscribe. Give them some love. Let them know we sent you, because those are some good folks over there. They're just as crazy as we are, and we love those guys to death. So, we love those guys like Spencer loves his white sauce.
Hey, what me this time, Spencer?
Hey, Greg posted the recipe for that stuff. I got to try it.
Yeah, I saw that.
It looked pretty damn good.
And I gotta say, I watched their 4th of July thing. Spencer, dude, I gotta come have some of them ribs. Them ribs look good, brother.
They did look damn good.
Look good.
Greg House says Pat Rance is going to be on their show tomorrow at 1:30 Central.
That being said, though, about the ribs, you got a long way to go to outdo that salmon that Noah cooked the other day.
Noah's a hell of a chef.
I'm still raving about that salmon. That's the best salmon steak I ever tasted.
Noah is a hell of a cook. Did you guys lose me?
I got you.
Okay. It was like the sound in my headset just went quiet. Like suddenly I couldn't
It did
hear.
here too.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
Can you all still hear
So we
us
are
in the chat? Robbie, that's who we lost. We can't hear you, Robbie.
2-hour mark, right on schedule.
Folks, I'm posting the link to Woodwalkers in the chat. Make sure you click on that link and give them a like, share, and subscribe, showing some love. They're just shy of 2,000 subs. So, hey, let's get them pushed over that 2,000 subs mark. They're 1.92 subs. There's Robbie. They're at 1.92, so they need about 80 subs. So, folks, we got 188 people watching us right now. If 80 of y'all would subscribe to Woodwalkers tonight, that'll put them over 2,000. So let's do that for them folks. They're awesome people. They're good folks. We love them to death. And let's see if we can kick them over 2,000 tonight. So
go
folks, click on that link. Give them a like, share, and subscribe. Ring that bell for notifications. Let them know we sent you, because Woodwalkers may have their own group, but they are part of the DA Ex MachiNation as far as I'm concerned. They're family. Van says, Steve, could I have a puppy fix?
Oh, I didn't think he's in here. Oh, there he is. Come here, bud. Hey, come here.
Some of these folks are already subscribed, but thank you guys so much if you guys are already subscribed, and thank you all if you guys will jump over there and give them a sub, because again, we would love to see you break 2,000 tonight. That would put a little smile on my face.
See, if you guys subscribe, it'll make you nice smile.
Sonya
He's gonna fight you. You can't mess with him.
Oh, he's such a good boy. I don't know why he puts up my shit, but he loves me.
He's such a cutie.
Until his mom gets home, and then he blows me off.
Then you're forgotten.
Little bastard.
Harley's the same way. I can be sitting there scratching Harley's ears, and Annette will say his name, and he will abandon me and go straight to her.
Oh, yeah, he's my bud. You got fans, Kenai.
Spencer,
You got your own
Greg,
subscribers.
Misty, let me know if you guys hit the 2K mark tonight or tomorrow. Tell you what I'm going to do, folks. If Woodwalkers hits 2K in the next 48 hours, I am going to give them an autographed book to give away.
Well, as soon
How's
as
that
I get
sound,
off the broadcast where it won't screw things up, I'm going to sub as well. You can count on that.
I not only will I will donate an autographed book to whoever they want to give it away to on their channel. If they break 2,000, I will also throw in this Wild Hunt patch right here, the one on my microphone right now. Yes, D's embrace the suck.
Hey, DA, long as we're throwing stuff out there for that.
Yes, sir.
If I'll throw in whoever whatever choice, whatever they want, I'll throw in a set of engraved coasters.
Yeah, put the wood
Ooh.
on that.
Yeah, put the Woodwalkers.
Mocking a logo, which is over here. Anything you want on it, Robbie can etch it on there.
We'll throw that in there too. So, patch, sign book, and a set of coasters from DA Ex Machina. Well,
that is completely up to Spencer and them. They could all go to one person, or I could send the patch to one person, the book to someone else.
The coasters to a third, or however y'all want to do it. Y'all just let us know. We'll help y'all out with that.
Have all
Robin
of my
Ray
books
just called
currently
Kenai
on
a
hand.
squatch hound.
I don't have all of my books currently on hand, but I have quite a few. So I would probably pick out one of the first of a series, like, I don't know, maybe the first of the Dark Frontiers. You know what I should have done, Robbie, while you were here?
What's that?
We'd have, of course, we'd need a doc too. We'd need Sentinel as well. Get, my signature, Josiah's signature. Get all of us, the guys, to sign Dark Frontiers. To sign copies to give away.
We do need to do that. That's actually a pretty good idea.
Gary Spike Sr. says if they reach 2,000 by tomorrow, I'll throw in a walking stick. Gary makes some freaking badass walking sticks. I've got a great one. I've been taking it out in the woods with me. It's right over here by my gun cabinet. I would grab it and show it to you. Roxanne says, Dia, you're going to be at the Ozark Bigfoot Conference in September. Yes, I am. I haven't bought my table yet. I've been kind of short on cash, so I'm going to get my table soon, but we are going to be that. In fact, since you mentioned that, Marty and the lady that's putting on the conference, along with the guys that are doing it, but we're actually going to do a week from tonight. We'll be having them on to talk about the conference. So set your calendars next week. We will have the folks on talking about the Ozark Mountain Bigfoot Conference. There won't be a show this Wednesday because that's my 31st anniversary. And if I have a show, I'm pretty sure I'll get divorced. So Annette will probably murder me in my sleep if I try to have a show on our anniversary. So no show Wednesday night, folks.
You're not as dumb as I give you credit for, DA.
Also, DA, you want to let them know where you and I are going to be in October.
Yeah. In October, Robbie and I are going to be at a conference. What is it called again?
It's the Bigfoot Bigfoot. You had to ask that when I was.
Hopefully Doc is going to be there too, and if Steve wants to go, I'm sure we could probably drag him along with some of us. But I got invited as a guest. Robbie's got as a guest as well. Robbie's going to be teaching a class on tracking. Robbie and I are going to do a class together on evidence collection, and I'll probably also be speaking at the conference.
This is called the Spirit of the Forest 2024 Bigfoot Festival in Greenville, Ohio, October 11th and 12th. So any of y'all that are around that area, y'all can come hang out. I think you're going to speak to DA.
Hey, they went. Yeah, I'm going to speak as well. They went from 1.92K to 1.94 already. So,
That's awesome.
folks, keep hitting that like button or that subscribe button.
Greg, you ain't right.
No, Greg ain't right. We know. He's going to throw me a grooming lesson and a feet picture. Is it going to be feet of a Bigfoot or just yours? Spencer will share a rib recipe.
He said Misty will throw in a feet picture.
That is so wrong. Greg, you kill
Oh, my
me.
Lord. Oh.
Well, we are after the 2 hour mark. We're going to start winding things down. But yes, please, if you're just listening to the show and you're catching the show when it's no longer live, make sure you're subscribed to our channel. But go over to Woodwalkers and make sure you subscribe to them as well. Let's get them over 2,000. I really think we could do that tonight or tomorrow. And like I said, if we can get them over 2,000, Woodwalkers can do a giveaway. I'll throw in an autographed book. I'm going to also throw in this patch right here, this Wild Hunt patch. Robbie's going to throw in some coasters, and Gary Spike says he's going to throw in a walking stick. So there'll be some good stuff for them to give to y'all.
Spencer
And
said he was
I'll
going
do
to
is
throw too.
I'll keep it all here, and whoever they decide wins, they can give me your address, and I'll just ship it straight to them. That way, I don't have to ship it to Spencer or ship it to Greg and have them reship it from there. So just once you give it away, let us know who won it and get us an address, and we'll ship it. We'll ship it out to them.
Yep. And Spencer, Greg, however y'all want to do it, if y'all want the Woodwalkers thing on the coasters, let me know. If they want Wild Hunt or whatever they want, you just let me know and let me and DA know an email, and I'll get it on there.
Well, here's the one he did of the Dark Frontiers logo, and it came out really good. Let me if I can get it off my light. I like that one a lot.
And let's see.
I got others in the other room, but those were claimed by my wife.
The Harley Davidson one there. This is my buddy. He owns a mobile cigar lounge, Continental. I did those for him. I just got the generic. Then the Gatson, Don't Tread on Me.
I've got that flag over on my wall.
Yep.
Guinness. Love me some Guinness.
Yep.
I've got the Gadsden flag on my lower receiver of my AR.
Nice.
But also I'm working on being able to do this. This is just a proof of concept. This is not. I can't. I got to get me an airbrush to do these right, but just to see that if I could do them, I've done some in color. So always pushing that envelope, boys.
Absolutely. We're a family, but we put the fun in dysfunctional.
Absolutely.
Kodiak said I think it was his sister, flew from Oregon to Anchorage to go fishing, and it was $600 to $700 for the round trip. So yeah, we could get a whole team up there, plus equipment. Yeah, I think $50K is something that would mount a really good expedition. We'd have to rent the boat for probably a week. Double checking real quick. They're still at 1.94, so they're up about 20 plus subs, and just in the last few minutes. So thank you guys so much for going over there. And again, if you're listening to this later after we're done live, make sure you subscribe to our channel, then go over and subscribe to theirs as well. Let's get them over the 2,000 mark. So throwing everything we can behind those guys, and get them to the next milestone for them. Do you have a link to Woodwalkers? Yeah, I pushed it once. Let me see if I can put it. I'm going to put it in the YouTube chat again. There we go. It's coming up again.
There it is.
Oh, no, I already had it set up where he could just. I didn't know that. I threw it in, and Noah threw it in too. Oh, there's a command for it. Thanks, Noah. So yeah, there's the link. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Ring that little bell so you get notified, and show them some love. Let's see them break 2,000 and continue to grow. Again, remember, when they break 2,000, if they can break 2,000, we're gonna throw in some really great items for them to give away. Since we are winding things down now, remember the 22 a Day Foundation. We lose 22 veterans a day to suicide, and that is 22 too many. So check on your friends and family, your first responder friends and family, anybody who's a veteran or currently serving military. Check on them once in a while, because you never know, the folks you think don't need it are the ones that probably need it the most. Mental health is key. We need to be doing more to help our veterans and first responders, because they deal with a lot, and we owe these men and women everything. So shoot them a text, even if it's just, "Hey, asshole, you awake?" That kind of thing. Buy them a beer. Invite them over to watch a movie. But just check on the people that have worn a uniform, because it takes its toll on all of us in different ways. And just remember the Till Valhalla project, because they're doing a hell of a lot of good for a lot of veterans. I'm very proud to support those guys. About 95% of what they take in goes right back into veterans charities, and they are buying prosthetic limbs and service dogs and paying for treatments and getting people therapy. Till Valhalla is doing a lot of amazing stuff, and it is run by veterans for veterans. Everyone at Till Valhalla has served, and so I'm very proud to support those guys. But now that we're coming up to the end of the show, one thing we've been doing here lately, and I'm very proud of it, is the fact that we've been closing out the show with a toast. The toast we've selected is from an old Irish drinking song called "The Parting Glass." It's played at Irish pubs all over the world, and it's usually played right at the end of the night when people are going home. But when you listen to the lyrics, it's not really about just closing down the pub. It's about saying goodbye to those we've lost along the way. So if you guys would join me for a toast, I'm out of water in that one. And doesn't matter what you're drinking, iced tea, water, anything stronger, it doesn't matter. Just join us in a toast for those we've lost along the way, those in and out of uniform. But the quote says, "But since it fell into my lot, that I should rise and you should not, I'll gently rise and softly call. Good night, and joy be to you all." Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you for joining us. Catch us again Wednesdays and Saturdays on Ex Machina. A special thanks to all our channel members and Patreon supporters. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe.